Hello everyone, welcome along to Sports Pizza. Glad to have you join us on what is another interesting episode of the show, and we are delighted to come back your way as we've got lots of the biggest sporting events, the headline, the big makers, of course, boxing, NPFL, football, CAF, Champions League and Confederations Cup. We'll touch base with the Premier League, 10 games to go, and Arsenal continue their charge toward the title. Couple of managerial sacks as well as the Champions League. All of that here and a bag of fries on Sports Pizza. Glad to have you join us. So if you're just joining us for the first time, this is your number one spot for all the biggest sporting headlines. We're back in a bit. Welcome back everyone to Sports Pizza. Glad to have you join us. My name is Yubi, and so doing of it. I'm joined by Falan Adeni, as always, who's the furniture in the house now. Falan, it's good to have you here. Off the back of what has been an interesting, explosive week, to be honest. We saw one of the sporting icons that has given us a great time for the last 5 years, Anthony Joshua, in the O2 Arena in London. But first things first, did you have a good weekend?
Definitely. I mean, whenever Arsenal win, it's always a good weekend.
Yeah. Arsenal are one of the biggest talking points, and what celebration it would be if Arsenal go ahead to win the 2022-2023 Premier League title. Let's start off with Anthony Joshua, albeit, who was at the O2 Arena, London. 25 fights now, 3 losses, 22 knockouts. He won by unanimous decision. So, is he back to his old self now? Is he back to his best? I hear people talking about who's the next up on the cards now, Tyson Fury or Anthony Wilder. Would you suggest that he goes into the pressure cooker that early?
Well, congratulations to Anthony Joshua. Congratulations to the Nigerians. I mean, having suffered defeat, to Usyk, especially the rematch, which was a very, very big blow, to him, and for him to come back, and beat Frankly, it wasn't an easy game. I mean, he said he wanted to knock him out, and if you don't get to win a knockout in a boxing game, it's not always interesting, or it's not almost enjoyable like when you win the 12th round. And we can see that it bled in the game, but he was able to keep his cool and box. Something we've not seen with Anthony Joshua. I mean, he doesn't really box like that. Whenever he's fighting, maybe it's coming to the realization that people are really, really disappointed in him with the way he fell to Usyk, and he's trying to get back to his best. I mean, it's a redemption fight for him, and of course he won. And after the game, he called out Tyson Fury and told Tyson Fury that he were not getting younger. I mean, people really want to see this fight. I mean, if you don't want to fight Usyk, now, I mean, let's fight. So that's a man in confidence. And even after the bout, after the last bell, was rung, he threw a jab at Franklin, and Franklin also responded, and there was a bit of
coming together.
I mean, so they had to be separated by security.
Yeah.
That's something we don't see with Joshua.
You want that extra feistiness, right?
Yeah,
he's just a cool. He's a banker boxer. He goes to the boxing ring with a nice briefcase.
But so it was nice. I mean, seeing that with Joshua. And like, my friend of mine was like, this is what I want to see with Joshua. Don't stop doing like jellyfish. I mean, and it's interesting. Very, very enjoyable. Hopefully, you get to see the bout. We got to see the bout between Joshua and Tyson Fury.
Well, what a great way to come back as far as Anthony Joshua goes. Won the fight, unanimous decision against Jermaine Franklin. So back to winning ways, and hopefully there is more in the tank for the Nigerian, Nigerian-born British boxer Anthony Oluwafemi Joshua. Right then, let's get away from all of that now. Let's touch base with the story closer to home before we get into some other sporting events. Let's touch with the NPFL match day 12, as it were. You have to say that things are gradually getting to the business end of the season, which is pretty much where the big titles are won. The team that doesn't go away, however, is Bedell Insurance. 2 draws on the bounce now. And you've got to say that they're seemingly going to copy the Arsenal of beaten at this rate, right? All season. Draw with Injust. That's not an easy place to go to. They went a goal down. They came back into the game, saw a draw out. What makes them so, formidable, not losing games?
I think it's the fact that they know that they are a team everybody wants to beat. I mean, everybody wants to beat them.
Doesn't that add extra pressure on you?
No. And so I feel that at the back of their mind, they feel that, okay, you want to beat us. I mean, we're in a good form, so you have to come up with your A game.
So you are the challenger.
Yes, you are the challenger. So let's see what you can come up with. And it's funny and also interesting that they've gone to, I mean, some of the most difficult ground, in the Nigerian Professional Football League, and they've been able to grind out a point. I mean, and they've done it by coming back from a goal down. I mean, the last time they went away was against Eyimba. We thought Eyimba, after Mboma scored, we thought, Eyimba were going to run away with victory. But Imade, found a way to get them back into the game. And over the weekend, we thought the goal from Okoro, I mean,
Osas
Okoro was enough, for them. But somehow, they found their way back into the game and drawing. And so it shows that they know that they are strong.
Right.
And football is played first in
the head,
in the head. And so once they know that they are strong, they know that every other team wants to beat us. So that means they are good. And so they go with the mindset that we can't lose this game. That is the first thing they go whenever they play away from home, that we can't lose this game. So it's not, the onus is now on you to try and beat us.
Let's touch
Nobody
base.
has been able to do that.
Let's touch base with Akwa United, who are currently second in Group A. Remo Stars are in third place. Remo Stars had that interesting draw with Gombe United, albeit at the Ikene Stadium. Plateau United, of course, we just mentioned them, had a draw 1-1 with the reigning or incumbent, champions, I should say, Bendel Insurance, who are 4 points clear of Group A. Speaking of Group B, in the bridge format of the league this season, Lobby Stars managed to topple Rivers United, even though they played a game more, and Rivers United are currently in second place. Lobby Stars got that 1-1 draw with Enugu Rangers, who are languishing somewhere at 7th all season. So our countdown to the championship playoffs, so to speak. Look, if you were to look into a magic ball, if you're a genie, who do you say makes it? Because you got 3 spots in 2 groups, so you got to have a Super 6, so to speak. Who makes it there?
I think in Group A, of course, Bender Insurance, barring anything happening at the end of the day, but I think Bender Insurance should make it. And I think Akwa United also should have enough, should do enough to make it.
What about Remo and Eyimba?
Remo and Eyimba, very, very inconsistent. Today you find them in second, tomorrow third position. I think right now they're in 5th position. Then I think it's between Remo and Eyimba who will take the third.
No Plateau United?
Nah, I don't think Plateau United.
Right then.
Great. The other group, Lobby Stars, Rivers United. I don't know who is going to join them.
There's Doma United, who have got 19 points at the moment, so you don't think they can make it through. There's also
another promoted team.
Yeah. There's also Abia Warriors and Niger Tornadoes, who are on the same amount of points. So it looks as if, though, whilst we might decide easily what happens in Group A, it might not be so easy in Group B, right?
But I'm putting my money on Lobby Stars and Rivers United making it. So I said this too. I don't think I want to predict any other.
Right. Let us know your thoughts as far as the Nigerian Professional Football League season 2023 goes. At the moment, we have an abridged format, Group A and Group B. Bendel Insurance currently holding 4th, the top of the table in Group A, and Lobby Stars, who have played a game more than Rivers United, currently in top spots at Group B. Let us know who you think makes the top 6 playoffs, which is pretty much what will be deciding the champions of the 2023 season. Let's get away from all of that now. Let's touch base with the Australian Grand Prix, which happened this weekend. Max Verstappen winning. It kind of feels like we're having a very interesting start to the Formula One season. And what we've done basically on today's episode is go from football to boxing to the Grand Prix, just to make sure that everybody's got a bit of a slice of something. Pizza has always got that nice little sector. So touch base with that. How did Max Verstappen go ahead to become the winner of the Australian Grand Prix? Well,
it was an interesting and, of course, a chaotic Australian Grand Prix. The first one, by the way. I mean, he's just creating records now. But I don't know if he'll be able to meet up with the record of Lewis Hamilton. But with what we're seeing right now, you don't want to bet against him. I think in the world of Formula One, you just have a driver reign supreme for 4 or 5 years. Then another one comes up, and it's like every other person doesn't know how to drive. Then after that one, another driver comes out, and I think it's the era of Red Bull and Max Verstappen. And right now they're doing everything right. They are doing everything right, and I think Mercedes. I don't know what is wrong with them, but
I mean, it has to be said though that the positive here at the Australian Grand Prix is that Lewis Hamilton, is back in, on the podium. So to speak, finishing second, of course, in front of Fernando Alonso, who drives for the very popular Aston Martin.
He could have ended up third or even fourth, that day, because he had issues with his tire, and he felt it that if he runs faster, if he races faster than what he was currently doing, probably the tire will have busted. And someone was telling him among his team that, don't worry. Don't run beyond what you're running right now. Fernando Alonso is just playing mind games with you, and that's what he's trying to do. Maybe if you had pushed further, maybe the tire would have busted. So that means something is definitely wrong. I
tell you what he did in the early, early part of the race. He did overtake Max Verstappen on the first lap, and that was a query, so to speak. And he said, "Look, I did the right thing by the books, right?" I love Lewis Hamilton. Like you like Anthony Joshua. You said Joshua is not, it's not punchy, but if there's anyone in sports who is very feisty and very aggressive about the way he does his business, is Lewis Hamilton, or should I say, Sir Lewis Hamilton?
Well, right? I think most Formula 1 lovers will not agree with you. I think they've called Max Verstappen Agbero driver,
right,
for a reason.
Right.
Probably
right.
More rough.
When you drive a Mercedes, you cannot be too aggressive. Right then. Let's get away from all of that now. Let's touch base with a story which makes us pretty much let you know that we keep an eye on everything happening across the African continent, and one of that is Mamelodi Sundowns, who, if you're planning to go to South Africa, one of the ways you can actually get in a social conversation, so to speak, is, I'm a Sundowns fan, or ask somebody, what do you think about the winners of the DStv Premiership, so to speak? And Sundowns won that title with 7 games to go. Remarkable stuff. Then they've done it 6 times in a row now. So a bit of a, let's say back in the day in school, social studies, for some of our very esteemed listeners, Sundowns champions of the South African League.
And of course, without even kicking the ball, I mean, they were playing on the continent, and back home, the other teams were doing the job for them, and it's a remarkable one. I don't know. I mean, back then we grew up Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, and the likes of Chippa United and Mazulu, but like Sundowns is the new
Sundowns are there.
And right now, I think they've shifted their attention to the CAF Champions League and see if they can wrestle the title back from the Moroccan, brothers, talking about Raja Casablanca and Wydad Casablanca. So a good run for Mamelodi Sundowns. They play exciting football, very, very exciting football. No wonder they call them the Brazilians.
Yeah.
So it's a good one. 7 games to go and winning the league, already. And that tells you that their dominance is here to stay.
Right.
It's definitely here to stay.
One of the teams that currently got the African continent on a chokehold, Mamelodi Sundowns, who are, I think, the quarterfinals of the CAF Champions League. Speaking about the CAF Champions League, we did that story to bring you to a story that is more closer to home in Rivers United, who lost to ASEC Mimosas. Now, that loss means Rivers United have lost their pole position in Group B. 10 points now. You still get the feeling that they, of course, have qualified, regardless, into the next round, because, Diaby Noahs finished with 6 points there. But it's a remarkable achievement, for a Nigerian team in this day and age to get out of the group, right? They did it with 3 wins and, the draw and 2 defeats. So what's next for them now? Because the draws are something we've got to, anticipate, but good way to, go into the next round.
Well, we thought their way from is, definitely good, but then again, it turned out that they were only able to beat the whipping boys of the group. And talking about Motema Pembe, and I don't know. Their way from is definitely not a good one. But if you want to make it to the next round of the tournament, I'm talking about getting to the semi-final, because they're in the quarterfinal already, you need to be very, very strong away from home.
Yeah.
We don't know who they're going to.
They're potentially going to play FC Rabat, young Africans. They would potentially play Maru Gallants. I think that, you know, it's not the worst couple of draws in the world, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, if they don't get to play against Farabat,
right,
then I can.
You could say
my money on Rivers United making
it to the next round. Yeah,
those are North African teams, very, very difficult to beat on the ground. Very, very difficult.
Well, of course, we've touched base with a couple of stories here. We've traversed the African continent. We made a stop in Australia, and of course, we all started off with that trip from the O2 Arena in London. We'll take another break on the show now. When we come back, we'll touch base with your favorite Premier League football gist. Arsenal continue their march towards the title. United, Chelsea stumble, but Chelsea with ramifications for the manager, Graham Potter. Welcome back to Sports Pit. So we're having a great time here in the studio, and Falana Adedi is still here with me as yours truly, Yubi, inside one of it. You're an Arsenal fan, so I imagine you had the best view in the house wherever you were watching the game. 4-0 against Leeds United. It was almost as if to say, 4-1 actually, it wasn't it? It was almost as if to say, you know, City gave us a nice letter earlier in the day. We responded with in kind, basically. Earlier in the day, City, you know, showed Liverpool that, you know, you try to keep up with us for the last 5 years, but we're still ahead of you. 4-1 there, but it was important Arsenal came back in the fashion they came back in. And boy, one of the better performances of the season. Ben White on the score sheet, 2 goals for the first starts for Gabriel Jesus since the World Cup. And boy, what an interesting performance from the kid Martin Odegaard. So 9 finals to play now. Are you confident that the momentum is right on Arsenal's
Definitely. I think what people should know now is they've been expecting Arsenal to drop. I mean, okay, we'll get to the World Cup, the momentum is going to drop. We came back from the World Cup, and it was the way. Arsenal played the way they were playing just before the World Cup. Then injury came in, Gabriel Jesus and a couple of other players, but they've been able to play the same way. It's just there's a system in place, and so everyone is just coming in to fit into that system. And I think it's
so it doesn't matter if they chop and change.
Exactly,
it's almost like a nice oiled machine. The parts are working.
When I saw the lineup, I was like, Saka out of the team, but then Trossard came into the right,
and he had an assist.
He had an assist in that game. Gabriel Jesus, 2 goals for Gabriel Jesus. By the way, that was Mikel Arteta's 7th.
I thought Gabriel Jesus called the referee for the first penalty, but it's fine.
Luke Haynes, played himself into that position. For 7 games, straight win for Mikel Arteta. The first time for Mikel Arteta in his managerial career as an Arsenal manager, and also Arsenal have scored 3 or more goals in the last 4 games. So they're scoring goals. I mean,
so they're picking at the right time.
Exactly. So whatever City does is like, okay, we're going to match whatever you're doing. I mean, and for City to play earlier before Arsenal, I mean, beating Liverpool, that could have, maybe caused a bit of issues, for the player. But then again, they went about doing the normal job that they do. Now they know it's just a Premier League, nothing else to play for, no Europa League, no FA Cup, no Carabao Cup. So they just have to play and win. And I think that's what they're doing. Everyone will try and catch up with them. But it's what happened. It will happen.
Remarkable. Incredible form for Arsenal. 5 wins on the bounce. You mentioned 7, of course, in the Premier League. So great time to pick up the steam and continue that steamroll towards title. 8 points clear of the City, even though they played a game more than City. What about Newcastle, who made their march into the top 3 for the first time in quite some time? United, getting into the 4th position. Both are on 50 points, has to be said. They played the same amount of games. The problem is United have an inferior goal difference there. So this is where the season starts, according to Erik ten Hag. His players didn't quite get the message.
I think after the win at the Carabao Cup, I don't know what is wrong with United. For the first time,
they failed to score in 3
games,
matches.
the first time,
and the aggregate is 9-0. They've conceded 9 in that period of time. So is that the thing where you win a trophy or you get to the top of the mountain and you just you're enjoying the view a bit too much?
I don't think that's on Erik ten Hag. Maybe it's on the player. So the onus is now on the manager to tell them that, hey guys, we won the Carabao Cup, and if you're not careful, if you miss out of the top 4, there's no guarantee that you're going to win the Europa League to get into the Champions League at the end of the season. I don't know if United fans are going to take this as a success this season if they don't make it to the Champions League. But I mean, we won the Carabao Cup and potentially could win the FA Cup also. But I don't know if United fans would take that as I mean, I would have thrown the question to you, boy. You're the one asking the questions.
No, go ahead. That's fine. I'm not just sure you're going to get paid, but
for Newcastle United, I mean, they did the right thing. They did everything right, when they took on Manchester United, and it's good. I mean, one English manager, showing that he can do it on the biggest stage, even
with the petrodollars from Saudi Arabia. Right. So we're done with the Premier League top 4 race, and of course it was the first win for Roy Hodgson as well. Good to see him win games. Some managers just know how to get the job done, isn't it? Right. And of course, Graham Potter getting the sack at Chelsea. Right, when Chelsea tweets a club statement, it means they've made a managerial change, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. As well as Brendan Rodgers. It kind of feels like, a lot of people have said, those two managers should be going in the opposite directions. Brendan to Chelsea as an ex-Chelsea man, worked under Jose Mourinho, and Graham Potter should go back to familiar surroundings in a team like Leicester. What do you make of those 2 sacks quickly? Well,
I don't think Chelsea will sign Brendan Rodgers. I'm very sure of that. I mean, we have Julian Nagelsmann on the job, Antonio Conte. Maybe
they've mentioned Zinedine Zidane as well as Mauricio Pochettino.
It's like Zidane is waiting for a French national team job, and I don't know if he's going to get that. But Pochettino, I think Pochettino will lean towards returning back to Tottenham Hotspur than signing for Chelsea right now. But Chelsea have come to tell us that our new interim manager will be with us for now. But I think Chelsea fans want them to sign Julian Nagelsmann, and I think that's what they are going to get at the end of the day.
Right. 2 managerial sacks in March, and of course the Premier League just keeps giving a knee-jerk reaction, if you call it what you want, but the clubs have made their choices. Right then, let's touch base with the Serie A before we get into that interesting Champions League week, because we're in the Champions League midweek now. Look, got to say that AC Milan said to Napoli, if you come at the king, better make sure you don't miss. And that's what they did. In Naples, that's what makes it a very interesting result. Juventus getting closer into the top 4, AS Roma with a 3-0 victory over Sampdoria. So it looks as if, though, all the teams realize that business is now or never.
Definitely, but there's one particular team that I don't think they've gotten that memo, and that's Inter Milan. Losing at home over the weekend, Lukaku telling us that whatever Yakubu can do, I can also do that. Missing an open. But Juventus, despite 15-point deduction, they still find themselves, I think, 6 points there behind Inter Milan in 4th position. And AS Roma is also in the mix. Somehow, Lazio find themselves in 2nd position. So we might be having an interesting end to the season in Italia Serie A. Maybe some interesting names in the Champions League from Italy. Lazio, AS Roma, and maybe, just maybe, Juventus, finding themselves, and the usual suspect Inter Milan and AC Milan not in the tournament. But 4-0 away from home, winning away from home, it shouldn't. I don't think that it shouldn't give you.
Shouldn't be too much of a worry.
Yeah, it shouldn't give us a that mindset that we can beat them in the UEFA Champions League. They'll be playing in the Champions League. But maybe Naples just decide to. Okay, don't worry, take this.
We're out of time, so we need to run. 16 points is still the differential at the top of the table with Napoli and Lazio. Champions League happens this week. Chelsea take on Real Madrid, and you've got to say, AC Milan Napoli is another massive game to look forward to. So it was pretty much a prequel to what might happen there. Bayern Munich City, Inter Milan, Benfica. Of course, who would forget Man City, Bayern Munich, and Benfica, Inter Milan. So that's what you've got. Let's take a break now, because we've got to show you what we always do. Welcome back to Sports Pizza, and it is the final stretch of the show. Pretty much to say thank yous and goodbyes. Falan and Eddie, it's been a real pleasure. Totally enjoyed the chats, even though we ran out of time in the end. But we touched base with lots of points on the globe, and hope you enjoyed every bit of Sports Pizza today. Do want to send us an email if you have some suggestions for us. If you've got some sponsorship ideas, How about you mail us on the email address on your screens? How about you also reach out to us on social media? Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Sports Pizza, as is across all social media platforms. Follow Adini. Thank you very much. My name is Yubi, and so do one of it. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Bye bye for now.